Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I am your host, Sarah Jo, and I am here today with Christie Sondergaard, who is a freedom coach. She infuses conventional and unconventional practices for leaders and high performers desiring to love their life and their business. Thank you so much for being here today, Christie.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome. This is so fantastic. I love these opportunities that we get to have conversations and share. These are like my most favorite things to do.
I do. I'm so excited to have you. I was binging your content and I absolutely love every single thing that you posted. So I was so excited for today.
Oh my God, I love it. Thank you.
So I first wanted to ask you, you were sharing with me that you changed your entire life from being a high performance workaholic to a fully embodied freedom, feminine energetics, and business coach. I would love to hear your story.
Well, like anybody that works like I did, we are always motivated by something. And for me, it was like I was chasing success, to be really honest with you. I had achieved it. I was told the whole way along the way, like my whole journey, that if you want to be successful, you have to have a certain kind of routine. You have to be like all in. You've got to be in performance mode. Like you have to be on, right? And so this was the only thing I knew. And so I also knew that you would be rewarded. So the job that I was in at the time, like the way that I would earn income, there was commission, and then there was override income, and there was like from having a team and building a team. And then there was, like if I did over and above, if I performed, then I would even get bonuses and trips. And like that was just the nature of the job. And so of course I attracted that. Of course I went into that because that's all that I knew. And so I grew up like that as well. And so I got to the end and, I looked at it and I was like, like I achieved all the things, but I don't have the balance. I don't have, like, my relationship had fallen apart. I divorced. I was now a single mom doing these things. I really desired to be with my family, have more space. I was resentful because my husband at the time was able to do those things that I wasn't. I wanted to be the mom, like I wanted to do both, but I didn't want it to do it. And I didn't know that it was me. Yeah. So how you just blame everybody else. Mm-hmm. And until I kind of woke up and I ended up doing a lot of personal development training for years. And it was like a process of that just grew on and added on to more, that eventually I realized that the issue was me and that it was like I needed to change. So I started making changes, mindset, energetic work. I thought I could hold the business and do this new kind of like coaching and that sort of area, mentoring. And then I realized I couldn't do both. And I really desired space. I really desired like to build a business around the life I chose to live, not build the other way around, right? I didn't want to fit my life into my business. I wanted my life to lead. I wanted me to lead. And that's been the story so far.
So beautiful. So were you tempted at the beginning to kind of use the same tactics that had gotten you to such a successful place in your old business to build your coaching business? Or did you know right away that that just was not the way you were going to do it?
I think I exhausted myself in the other business. Like I knew that that wasn't going to work. I did have a lot of conditioning, thinking that, like I had to go into like a performance mode. I needed to be on all the time in order to get the result. But I also knew that there's so much evidence around me through my mentors who I, just chose to work with, that this was not the way. So they believed in me, I believed in them, and held the focus and the energy of that, and allowed myself the space to kind of undo a lot of the conditioning that I had learned for so many years, which was really about peeling back the onion layer and finding all those other pieces within me that I needed to let go of or to kind of reframe on how I thought about things. So yeah, and I've just trusted, and I've really led with this whole intuition and trust that I'm in the right place, and I was lit up by it, and I knew that I was on the right track. So no, I didn't.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it's so powerful because I think a lot of women want that. We want to prioritize our life and our passions and our relationships and our families. And we also desire success, but a lot of times we do feel like we have to choose. And it's so refreshing to see a real life example of somebody who has been able to have it both, have it all.
Yeah. And I mean, I think today it's not to say like I don't like have the energy and put it into like, I don't go into the masculine mode because I do. But today it's very much led with my, with first of all, space and how I choose to set up in my day, how I choose to start it, like it's not like with a specific routine. I'm not held by expectations of what society says anymore. I choose, I go, I lead. And so if it fits like that, okay, fine, because that's what I chose to do, but it isn't because that's the expectation anymore. So then I take aligned, inspired action based on how I want to live. And if it fits that, so my everything, like including my business, is really aligned in the same way how I live my life. So so I definitely have to plan, but I find that when I have the structure of it all, then I have the flow inside, and it's a combination of both.
Absolutely. And so do you plan like with the priority being your family and yourself and then fit the business into that? Or how does that work for you, like on a practical level?
Yeah. So practically speaking, I know, first of all, my kids' schedules, my partner's schedules, like I kind of have an idea of our life like that. And so I know my work hours are from like 9 to 3. That's, they're in school and that's the time that I start my day and that's when I end it. And in that period of time, then it's about the structure of the business. So what are the things what are the types of activity, whether it's like content creation or it's marketing or it's like work days, which is like directly one-on-ones with clients or programs live, that kind of stuff, which would be Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are more like freedom days for me. So it's like where I'm nurturing, but I create a lot of space in between because I know that for me to be my best, for me to give my best and hold space for whoever I'm working with, that I need to have my cup filled first. And so it's about really topping that up and keeping it in overflow so that it's just naturally coming off when I'm with somebody.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
It took me a long time to get here, Sarah Jo. Like it took a whole lifetime of career building to know that that wasn't the way that I wanted to do it. Like the amount of success I had, and that was, others would say, oh, I was crazy, but it actually, I wanted all the other things. So it's actually a little bit about the simple things in life, but of course, having structure around my days really helps me to stay productive.
Yeah, I relate to your story so much. I've definitely been called a workaholic. And, it's like we are kind of taught by society to look at how much we put in and how hard it is as like some kind of badge of honor. And then also like, that's what gets results according to like the narrative, like you get what you give. And I just feel, I want to ask you this question about this post you wrote, that there is another way and that the goal of more doesn't have to look like more clients, more products, more services, more programs, more effort. So how do we get out of that mindset that more is better and get into the belief that we can still have a really successful business that doesn't totally burn us out?
Oh, I love this question because it's, I did leave it kind of like a bit of a cliffhanger to learn more and here we are going to deepen it. But yeah, it's like, I think there's something that I don't think that we always are aware of. I don't think we know what we're motivated by. So Sometimes it's about the external, right? Like, so it's like, if I do X, I will get X, right? So it's like, it's always about this do to get, instead of like, I am already. And so as I am, I receive. So it's a very different energy. So what I mean by that is that you don't actually have to look at getting more by getting more clients, structuring, squeezing something in and doing, putting more effort in, whatever it might be, pounding it out in the gym and then, being on for your clients and taking a few. And it's not about that. It's about actually just really connecting to yourself. I think that when we are so used to, performing for the external validation, for the award, for what is to come that we're after, then we actually are disconnected from our body. So we're actually completely outside of it. And so to reconnect to it, we have to understand that our power is generated inside. So you mentioned you're a generator, I'm a generator, and we generate our own personal power from within. And for us to actually be within our bodies, it really is about tapping into our own intuition. To be able to tap into our intuition, we need to acknowledge our feelings. How are we feeling? How does this land in my body? Am I lit up by it? Am I closed? Do I constrict? Becoming like really aware. And then allowing ourselves to let go of the outcome, allowing ourselves to let go of all the things that we think, I think the beliefs around it, and just allow for whatever is to come through our thoughts, and either to accept them, to reject them based on whether we are lit up. But that is how we create our power. And when we are having fun, when we are raising our own frequency, our own energy, people feel that. Like that aura is felt from you, it's felt from me. And that is our magnetism. Yeah. So if we can be in that, it's palpable. And that is what attracts people to us. And so when we are in our power, and we are also in our power when we have certain standards and boundaries, we elevate the frequency and the standard for everyone. So you can call in and you can set your own rules. You can set your own standards around things. There's nobody saying when you own your own business that you can't do something or the other. It's up to you, but you call it in. So you lead, and this magnetism is felt. So that's how we get more. That's the abundance. That's the gratitude that we feel. And that's what others are attracted to.
You just basically described feminine energetics in business. And it's crazy because we know, like, it was a huge turning point in my life when I realized that feminine energy is the exact thing you need in a relationship with a man for it to be amazing. Yeah. And it completely changed my life. And it's only been in this past year where I've been like, I have a feeling that this applies to business. And it does. Like everything you're saying, it's like the feminine is a gift through her being.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
We don't have to do anything. And I think that so many times, like we don't realize that this is actually a natural gift that we have, this connection. But we are so, we've been told that we don't want to stand out too much, right? Because then we don't want to make anybody else feel uncomfortable. So we have that's been a conditioning on us, right? And then we also have this other side that is like, it's too scary. It's like, what's on the other side? Like, and we don't realize that we are already it. Like we can tap into this divine, and everything that we desire can be given. So whether it's and that's the manifestation part of it, but it's being able to allow. And sometimes we need to be able to let go, to really surrender to that energy.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. This conversation is amazing.
Oh, I'm so glad. Already. It's my favorite kind of conversations.
Oh my goodness. So this is actually the perfect segue into my next question. You say that to have what we desire, we need to make decisions from our highest expanded self rather than a constricted version of us.
Oh, yes.
So how can we tap into that? And like access our highest self, or like maybe someone say like the next version of ourselves, and kind of get out of that constriction?
I think when it comes time for us to make decisions, I think we can expand with our thoughts and we feel really good. But when it comes down to actually making the decision, we sometimes shrink. And we don't make that decision from the place that we want to be going. So we need to start there when we're making the decision. We don't need to make the decision from the current reality that we have. So our expanded self is like, who do we desire to be? What is that self-image? How would she make the decision if she didn't she lets go of all what she has today? And that's what I mean by that. So we all have that expanded version inside ourselves, but are we actually choosing in that moment? So it takes some courage, it takes a lot of bravery, it takes like trust, it takes like confidence to just go ahead and trust that what is there on the other end is meant to be for you. Otherwise, you would never be presented with it. So that is what I mean by our expanded highest level selves when we're making the decision, because then we're meeting our desire at its same frequency. We become an energetic match.
That's how you quantum leap.
Right. That's how you quantum leap. That's right.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I feel like it's like, do it scared, you just have to do it. And something that I've really been learning in my business is like, you might have to do it bad at first. It might not be perfect. And you can't wait till it's perfect to put your work out into the world. You just have to show up and it will improve over time.
Exactly. We don't get through this life unscathed. Like we do learn from our mistakes. And so the idea is not perfection, it is imperfection. And knowing that the fear is a part of it. Like it's the human experience to have the duality, the high side and the low sides. But it is, if we can extract the lessons and the wisdom that comes from not doing it well or failing, then we're still on the higher end of the frequency than allowing us to go down the rabbit hole. Because so many times we're so hard on ourselves when we do, right? So it's a choice. It's a mindset thing.
Oh, I love it. You say that the portal to growth is typically located behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
That blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. Would you tell us more about that, please?
Sure. So our next level is not beyond ourselves. So our next level is within, and it's not another higher, more elevated version. Our next level selves is by going deep and uncovering the pieces of us that we've been hiding. So there's a lot of pieces there: pain, guilt, shame, unforgiveness, not enough, all these different areas that we have basically taken with us in our life, and they are buried. We've learned coping mechanisms to like kind of go on and found another way, and we've meandered along like in a different path, but it's not going further. Sometimes the growth is to go deeper. And as we start to peel back the onion layers, or as we start to reach, this is why we want to be moving in this expanded like kind of direction. We want to make decisions that feel a little bit scary, feel like they expand us, feel like they stretch us even, because what we're going to find at the end of that is the reason why we feel like we're holding back. And when we realize what that is, and we start to go deeper and uncover the reasons and the story behind that and the belief that's attached to it, when we can go back and revisit it and create a new experience, oh my God, that's like behind the closed door. There's like a portal waiting for us to step into by just going back and revisiting it again. And so it's like, that's the expansion, because all of a sudden you're not carrying that anymore. You've let that go, and it's like freed something up in you that now you're able to take these big leaps and bounds that you feel like unleashed. And that's what we want. And that's lies in every one of us.
That is so powerful. I've been doing, have you heard of internal family systems, IFS?
No, actually, I haven't.
It's
No.
a therapeutic modality, and I've been doing that with my therapist. And basically, it separates your kind of like almost like your psyche into parts. And so you go back and you talk to those parts and you talk to them like when they were created. So at the age that they were created. And she led me through this visualization, and it's super powerful because it's really somatic. Like you go into your body, and
Mm,
part of me that's like 7 years old, and that's when I became a people pleaser. And it was a protective mechanism to protect my younger self that would get in trouble for being too much or too loud or too boisterous or all these things. And it was so helpful because it helped me to disidentify with that as like this isn't my identity. This is a part of me that came online to protect this other part of me. So it just, what you said reminded me of that, because it really is about going in and doing the inner work, and the expansion is there.
yeah. So it's exactly like that. There's a lot of different kinds of like tools and therapy, even or coaching that can get to those places. But it's about holding space for it. And it's about asking specific questions to elicit, what might be there. And then it's being brave to go in. And you can't do that if you don't feel like you're in a trusted, held kind of space. So when you are, you have to protect yourself. So all of a sudden, those are the response mechanisms, or even the egos, we can call them, because they're not really your true self, right? It's just another version of you that you've learned. But often these things are like put into place from the time that we were really little. So 0 to 6, 7 years of age is where the majority of this kind of stuff has happened, where we've seen it modeled, that kind of stuff, and then we adopt it, and we don't really know that we have these things because we didn't consciously choose. So it's about recognizing that you can choose it when you like start to re-experience it.
And I feel like it's so helpful to have someone like you, like a coach or a therapist or a mentor, to hold that space, because you can't always see it on your own.
No. And I think that's part of the growth. I think in this line of work, I don't think you can do this line of work on your own, because there's so much growth in ourselves. Like we're constantly evolving and changing. That is the industry that we're in. And so for us to be doing it with somebody else, our clients, we too need to be going through the process. We need to be really quite closely connected to it so that we can actually experience what they're experiencing. So I do find that I feel like it's like the only way, truthfully. I've had a mentor my whole life, almost since I've started this path.
Every single time I've had a coach or a mentor or a really powerful therapist, I've had massive shifts. And it kind of just at this point is a necessity for me. I believe we continue to evolve and grow over our lifetime, and there is no end point. And yeah, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, we share the same. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. And I think that the very first time, like if you think back to when you made your first investment in a mentor or a therapist, like it felt like it was, like, I don't know about you, but for me, I felt like it was such a big decision. But once I did it the first time, like I realized, oh my goodness, what have I been missing out my whole life? Like it was like, this is just now a lifestyle, really.
Absolutely. And it's a necessary part. I mean, it can seem like an indulgence. And I think that there's a certain aspect of like, you and I are both, we know we are in the world, in the vibes of Melanie and Lear. And I love that she talks about how, like, no, you don't need a coach, but do you want to collapse time? Like, do you want to get where you're going faster? Will it be more fun in the process? And for me, all of those things, well, it's not like a need. It is, like I said, it's a non-negotiable. I do desire that. And I do want it faster because I want more, because I want as much life as possible during the time that I'm alive.
Exactly. Why waste time? I know, I feel the same way. And my soul wants to experience all of it. those are my mentors, like my one-on-one mentors, Melanie and Jack and Amy. I work with all three of them. So yeah, in
I
the
love
continuum.
them, all three. They're amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So what else do you have on your list there?
How can we become our own muse? And how does this help us expand in our lives and business?
Yeah. Okay. So being our own muse is really about loving ourselves and leading ourselves, allowing ourselves to have importance. I think that sometimes we see love, even our connection through other people, or what we receive is through others. But if we can actually like full on love ourselves, fall in love with ourselves, get to know ourselves. I don't think there's a lot of people that really, really know themselves. Like actually find out what turns us on, like, like what do we like, and like get in the vibes of that and prioritize it. Like I think like I actually have scheduled times now just for me and me, where I go in with my own thoughts. I take time with that. And it's about putting myself first. And it's about having those experiences for me first before I share it with anybody else. So it's another way of looking at it, but it's that connecting to self, connecting to feelings, connecting to intuition, being in co-creation with the divine. Like that's really what it's about, is being your own muse.
I love that so much. It's so beautiful. It's a daily practice.
Yeah. It's not like, I mean, they're like with everybody else. I guess you would, I don't know, if you had a relationship with your partner, like if you're having sex or something like that, it's like you might have a longer time with them, and you might have some quickies in between, like it's like that. So you'd have like longer meetings with yourself to connect to you. And my most favorite is walking, like writing. I do a lot of that. It's just like taking in the nature, feeling it, like gratitude, allowing those feelings to come for myself. Like that's a lot of like how I spend time with me.
I started a little over a year ago, just this very simple morning practice of making myself coffee, giving myself Reiki, and listening to Melanie Ann Layer. And sometimes it was only for 5 minutes. Sometimes that was all the time that I had in the morning, but I was very consistent with it. And I am telling you, that one small practice changed my entire life, because I was giving to myself first before I went out into my day, and I was getting my energy aligned and just dropping in for a minute. And yeah, it doesn't have to be like a huge, 20-step morning routine, or like a, very disciplined yoga practice or anything fancy. It can just be a few minutes.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love the fact that it was intentional. And because you set an intention around it, that it was how you wanted to start your day, that it was giving to you, is the reason why it's been so life-changing. Like I think even like something as simple as like when you have a shower, like even how you like suds up your hair, and like in envisioning it like washing away, like whatever you're like cleansing, like even those kinds of things, like it could be just like in your everyday, but it's the intention and the awareness, and that you're receiving in the moment, right? It doesn't have to be long.
I love that so much. It's so true. Your entire life, if you are aware of the times that you receive, and you receive intentionally, it's like your life is a spiritual practice.
Yeah. I agree. I love it.
In one of your posts, you say, you are your personal power. You are the change. Show up in your imperfection. Own all of it. This is what's real. You are a work of art, and you will inspire more people desiring change if you show up as the process for change. This really spoke to me. But I did want to ask you, like the first thing that came to my mind is, how can we show up as the process of change, but still be like fully in our power as a leader?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I remember writing that post, and I was like in this very vulnerable moment of like peeling back the onion layers, finding the edges, going deeper. And knowing that that was releasing something, that I was still brave enough to do it, and then to show up and allow it to be seen, that it wasn't hidden, to say that, you know what, I'm human and humans are not perfect. There isn't this like pedestal that I'm like putting myself up on. I'm saying I'm leading myself through this. And because I'm allowing you in, and I'm allowing you to see that I'm imperfect, that vulnerability and allowing it to be seen is what is like really powerful. It's not to say that I'm like, we are stuck there, and that's, you know, it's not like that. It's like I'm leading myself, because it's through the difficulties, it's through these areas of ourselves, these imperfections, if we own them and say, like, not be afraid of them, not be ashamed of them, not any of that, not hold any guilt around it. Just like say, you know what, this is such a beautiful part of me, because if I hadn't been through this, I wouldn't be here, you know. And to just like own it, that was, it's part of like, it's part of my lashes, it's part of like the things that I have, and it's part of my wisdom I carry. And so I feel like if we can model that more, if we can just like step into it, not necessarily model it for others, but I think that's what happens, is when we lead ourselves that way and we allow it to be seen, it like all the power around the shame or the guilt or whatever is attached to it diminishes when we allow it to breathe, for it to be seen. And so, yeah, we disempower what's holding us by allowing it to be seen. And at the same time, it ends up being another thing that we attract others to. So yeah, it's us leading in our power.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it is refreshing to see a leader that's able to lead themselves through something difficult and just be really real, because we do kind of have this idea sometimes that people, what we see on the internet, you know, is reality or something, and these people have these perfect lives, but it's not true.
And I think the flip side of that too is that when we have desires, when we're feeling something, are we allowing it to fully express itself? Like, are we allowing others to see it? Like, are we owning that piece of it? Are we claiming that side of us? Because it's easy to show sometimes the vulnerability. I think people relate to being human a lot. And so we all relate to it. But what's really unique is when you stand in your power and you're like claiming your desires, that this is just fine. Like, I can be whatever I want to be, however I want to express myself. Like, I think today, like, that is what gets me. That's like, that's the thing that calls me in to pay attention. Yeah.
Seeing someone who is able to stand in their power without apologizing for it is huge as a woman, because we are taught to like dim our light. It's like, don't be too much and don't be not enough. Find this perfect balance in the center. And that doesn't exist.
And then you get also the other side of that is like, sometimes we see somebody doing that, and so we try it on. Maybe we do have this like courage and this boldness, and we feel like in unfamiliar territory, but then it comes with projection on us, and then we don't know how to handle it. So if we haven't done the inner work to get to this point, well, then we'll like shy away from it the minute that happens. So I think to be able to do the work, the inner work, the working on ourselves, so that when we do decide that that's, well, every time that we do decide to step into our power, we can actually hold the duality of what comes with it.
That's been huge for me, knowing that everything comes with a flip side. And a lot of times that is what we need to be okay with in order to grow. Like, we have to be okay with even if it doesn't happen, we have to be okay with the fact that it could happen. Whatever the negative, like, or like the shadow side is of the thing that we're stepping, like being more known on the internet comes with more people who don't like you. And I've experienced that in the past couple months. And I don't think I would have been ready for that a year ago. It would have crushed my soul, and it didn't feel good, but I was able to hold it.
I was told that as we like step into our power, as we like allow ourselves to be fully seen, that we will lose people. And like, I've had so many people recently just unfollow, and I'm sure that this is part of it. And yet I've actually have a lot of other people coming in at the same time. So I think it's like, it's a transition, and we should see it as like, yes, it's working. Like, this is, I'm on the right path, you know, like this is where I want to be. And so, not everybody is going to follow. And not everyone is going to be okay with it. And everyone's in their own space and their own journey. It's not really up to us to be small to make them feel comfortable.
Absolutely. I love that so much. You said in one of your posts, magic is known to happen when women come together. Liberation is known to happen when women come together. The remembering of who we are and our collective power happens when we come together. It's when we pull up a chair like we already belong that great things happen for our society as a whole. This is so beautiful, so beautifully written. And it's so inspiring and really important, I think, for the time that we're living in. And I would just love for you to talk a little bit more about that.
Well, I think that it's through our storytelling. I think that when we show up as like, I'm like you, you're like me, like we're cut from the same cloth. And like that, even just meeting each other on that very like woman, same, this is what's common between us. We have similar stories. When you talk about, you know, like you had to people please to get through the other areas of that weren't comfortable in your life. Like we all have that story, or the external validation that we needed to receive, the competition that puts like that society has, like, you know, stepping into like what would have been typically a man's role, you know, like all those kinds of things. We have all those stories. We have them because our moms and our grandmothers and our sisters and our friends have had those same experiences. Like we live it. So I feel like when we come together and we come with open hearts and open minds and conversation that we know we're going to be vulnerable, and that's just who we are. And we're also going to share the flip sides of it, the celebrations. Like when we can do that, I think we heal. I think we heal. Like just, I think part of the growth, I don't think you can have growth without healing. And so it's part of remembering that we're incredible, magical, you know, human beings, and we are all energetic, and it's like the intention that sets that. So yeah, I'm running an event in the fall time, a sisterhood event that's just for this. I'm really, really excited about it because I know that whoever is like can feel that energy will come.
Yes.
And I just know that collectively together, I don't think that we yet have experienced the power of coming together like that, like, and then learning how to work with it. I'm currently right now sort of in an innovation sort of period with a few other women that we're testing, like, what can we do together? And it's not about doing, it's like, how can we feed off one another's energy, and like, what does that create within, you know? So
or what would happen if you had a powerful circle of women holding an intention for you and you for them? Like what would happen? We don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even know. So like, it's like, you have to be brave and you have to like go in it. But could you imagine when you said that, I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps everywhere. That's like so beautiful. Could you imagine what that would feel like?
Yeah.
And what that would do for our hearts, for our souls, and like the calling on us? Yeah. I think it would be really powerful.
Is your event an in-person event?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's so cool. Do you know, can you share any details, or is it still under wraps?
You know what? I actually was, it's okay. What can I share with you? I have more people than the space allows. So I have to find a new venue. So that's where I'm at with that. But what I can share is that there's 3 parts to it. There's a coming together. There's like a circle. There's like a belonging. There's sharing. there's like movement, there's a lot of that kind of stuff together. I'm really excited about that. We're going to like go deep into the soul so that we're going to like really feel that experience. I think that in itself is just going to be so powerful. But then afterwards, I've got these really cool experiences that I can't share too much, but one is about just getting ready. Do you remember like when you used to get ready with your girlfriends and you're like, you maybe even still do that today, but once in a while, but like when we were younger, we would do that and we were in high school, we would all gather, then we'd have these like deep conversation. It's going to be light and fun. And it's going to be that kind of a moment that I'm creating. And we're going to celebrate and kind of deepen and anchor some of the things that we talked about, an opportunity to ask one-on-one, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be special. And then there's planned dinner in the evening. So there's like 3 parts to it.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I love what you said about getting ready with your girlfriends. I started working with a makeup artist in February, and now I go to her every Wednesday, and it just feels like that. It feels like, I mean, she's doing my hair and makeup, but like we're just having like girl talk and hanging out, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite day of the week.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. I love that. I love getting ready. I love getting my hair done, like all the things. It's about allowing ourselves just to be girly but also womanly. You know, it's like there's this depth to us that I don't know if we recognize always that it's actually in those deeper, meaningful conversations that we experience that luxury, that, you know, that real connectedness. So it's like having fun, being playful, and yet deepening for that wisdom piece.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'll ask more about how we can find you and work with you. You talk about leaning in only when there is alignment. You say that the work is to live first, secure alignment, let the energy percolate, and then we lean in. Could you give us an example? This sounds like an amazing process.
Yeah, it is. Well, how I live is like how I start my days, or it's like I don't have a plan. I have a kind of like, I know there's things that I need to have done, but it's like, how am I feeling in the moment? So I really love to just get out. I like to change my environment. So get out, get into the nature. It's beautiful right now. It's summertime, or it's about to be summertime. It's like, you know, I love the environment and feeling the sun on my skin, and like having this tremendous sense of gratitude that, you know, I get to do this. And I think like that part is such a key part for me. And as I move, as I walk, I usually have lots of thoughts that come through. I don't try to make logical sense of any of it, but that's just what happens for me. And then when I come back, like I that's my alignment. So that connection to self first, that has to be there. And so when I decide to move forward on anything, it has to light me up. Like, so, you know, we have all kinds of things that come to us. We attract a number of different things. It doesn't mean that we have to say yes to everything. So now I'm checking in. And as a generator, I'm a responder. So I feel in my body what lights me up. So if I'm like lit up and I get a full body reaction to it, I know that those are the things I need to say yes to. It's gotta be a hell yes for me to be in, and then to take action on it. So all those other ideas, I just reject. Any of those ones that I'm lit up by, I accept. And then once I accept them, like I play with it. I'm like, okay, how does this fit into my life? Where do we put this? And if it's something work related, it's like, do I attach it onto a program? Do I refine it? Is it a standalone? Is it, you know, like, how does it feel? So I feel out, you know, the ideas that I have, and I put it into practice. So that's my process. Taking aligned action, I might have like an overarching context of like how I want to live my life. And some of it is like an expanded version of me too. And so when I attract something into it, I'm really like measuring it up against it. Is that an alignment? Is that in the direction I want to go? Or is that just a distraction for me? Does it light me up? So that's the key part for me personally in my human design, is that that's got to be there for me to go forward. So I move on those and I don't question it anymore. I have enough evidence now that I don't question that when I get those kind of hits for me that light me up, the sacral hits, I go for it. So, and I don't expect, I detach from the outcome. So the outcome has nothing to do with me taking the action. So it's like like I meet it at another level, like I'll attract what is yet to come on the other side of it. So yeah, that's what I mean by that.
Oh, I love that so much. I've definitely done it both ways. I've definitely ignored my sacral, like I think I'm pretty good at listening to like absolutely no, but when it's like, maybe I'll say yes. And 2 years later, because I think Amy said this in like the Lines program or in one of the energy type training.
Yeah.
She was, a generator will do the wrong thing for 2 years because they committed to it. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been there.
Oh my goodness. I think I remember her saying that as well. And I think that I think in that situation where when it's not a clear yes or no, we just need to ask more questions to ourselves. Like, do I want to, like, if it's a time thing and a commitment to something and you're still unsure about it, and you normally just go with it, you just need to take another step back and say, okay, would I rather do that? Or if I didn't do that, would I be doing this? Like, which one do I want to do more? And if there isn't another option, it's like, like, do I want to take that time on my own to kind of figure it out? And today I've realized that really lights me up, because I get into this like expansion of thought and ideas that come through. So that lights me up today. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
I love that process so freaking much. I feel like when I'm in the purest alignment, it's almost this feeling of like life is moving through me. It's like I'm doing things, but it's like they're being done through me almost. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you're like the vessel.
Happen, versus when you're out of alignment and you're like forcing it, like trying to, okay, I got to do this. And now I got to do this. And it's like it's a different feeling in your body.
It is. It's like, yeah, what's that leaning back, right? And allowing whatever it is like that you've channeled. Basically, it's like you're allowing the divine, the spiritual to move through you. Like you are in alignment with your life's purpose and you're just moving along that path. You're not it should feel effortless. And I think that's like another thing, like when I get ideas that come through for me, I realize that I'm just the vessel of making it happen. I'm the one that's supposed to create whatever it is, So when you look at it like that, it's not like me alone. It's like co-creation, and I'm the vessel in the human plane that is meant to do this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had the thought. And that, like, just owning that part, that is part of, we don't ever feel like we're the one when we're out of alignment. We have so much doubt, we have fear, we have like limiting beliefs, like everything, like we wobble on everything. And we feel like, we're not like in our power. Sometimes we're just too much up in our head and we're not allowing the energy to lead, right? So it's through the energy that if we allow that to come through, like you said, it's got to come through us, not stop at us.
Yes. I love that so much. And I feel there's things that come through, like there is like a channel, and that's the stuff that it's for you, for us. Do you know what I mean? Like it comes through and it's a lesson that I need for myself. And then when I share it, that's what lands. And then there's the content that comes from like my head where I'm trying to think, what should I say today?
Oh, how often does that happen for us, right?
That's never it. It's never the content that comes from here. It's like it comes through your channel or it comes like from your sacral. One of the two.
One of the two, that's right. And it's like our job, I think, is just to allow it, right? And not just get in the way of our own. Yeah, we need just to get out of the way and allow it just to move through. I really love that you see it very clearly as you're the vehicle that gets it there, like I don't know, it's like that moving, that energy that moves through you. That's a really good way of looking at it.
And I love that you literally put it into like an actual process, which can be so helpful, especially when you're just starting to lean into it and you're just starting to figure out, because it is, to me, it's like an embodied feeling, and it helps to have a step-by-step process.
Yeah, that's our logical minds, right? Like when we're learning something new. To be honest with you, that was something that I really had to really learn, because I was, as when you're playing with energy and you're, and even just tapping into divine source and all this kind of stuff, sometimes it's really non-tangible, right? Like you need something that's a little more tactical. And so I find the same thing now that I've embodied it myself. It's easier to speak about it. It's easier to explain how it works with a step-by-step process. That's kind of how my mind works. It's like that organization piece that comes into play. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that's easy to digest.
So can you tell us how we can find you and work with you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have a website. It's christiesondergaard.com, and it's with 2 A's. But the easiest place, honestly, is just find me on Instagram. So it's Christie Sondergaard is my handle. And I usually I'm in my stories and I'm posting whatever my offers are. But so that I have 3 new spots available for one-on-one coaching. That's what I have right now. My prices will never be this low. They're really they're prime and they're really good, and they will go. But yeah, I've got 3 months and 6 months. And I do have programs too. So I have a program. There's B3 coming up here in the next little while. I'll have a manifestation mindset program. I will have one that is for the opposite. So people who are workaholics that came from the world that I used to be in. And then how do we bring it back? Because that's very conventional type of success, but then not necessarily giving it up, but how do you infuse some of these unconventional practices so that you're experiencing more abundance and joy and bliss and that piece. So that's emergence. That will be happening a little bit later, maybe August is probably when that one will start. And then I have another one, Aligned to Lead, that is happening in October. That's for anybody that's already in it, but they want to expand on what they already know. So those are different ways. I have a membership, The Vibe, and I'm in there once a month doing I have a theme for the month. There's a training, and I do a Q&A 2 weeks later. So it gives time, just a way to be connected. And I like that one. There's a little bit of hot seat coaching with that. And I do have a free community as well, so called Human Connection. And that we walk and I talk, I go live and just touch base, and then people form their own connections inside that group. And I do have a training in there.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm so excited about all of that. Definitely going to check it all out. And I will link your Instagram in the show notes. So if people want to find you, they can just click on that link.
Please. Feel free. And if there's any questions, just send me a DM. It's probably the best way.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christie. This has been such a fun hour, and I could talk to you all day.
Love it, Sarah Jo. I'm so glad that I found you. When you set up a post and that you were looking for new speakers, I was really, really excited about this, because we don't know each other. This is our first encounter, other than the fact that we were on each other's platforms. But I really feel like there's like, I don't know, there's a lot of really lovely things exchanged between us. So I love what you're doing. I love that you hold summits and that you're connecting with other women this way. You learn, they learn. This is good for everybody. I love it.
Thank you so much. Yes, I love doing this work. My favorite, this is what we're doing right here. My absolute favorite part of what I do. So thank you.
You love the conversation part.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
I think
And the learning.
The responding, the generator.
Well, that's interesting. I've been thinking about a podcast and I haven't actually gone forward with it yet. It's just a matter of like, again, waiting for that light up. But I'm really enjoying the ones that I've been doing, and I really enjoyed this one. This is one of my favorites. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have yourself. Yeah. Hopefully so. Okay. Maybe I'll see you soon. Okay. I'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Sarah.
Bye.